Oh, yes. How's everybody doing tonight? It is Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. That's time for Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy. We're going to break down all 14 fights on the UFC 290 card taking place this Saturday, July, what is it, 9th? What is it? Damn it, the 8th. It'll be July 8th. 14 cards, headlined, 14 fights headlined by Alexander Volkanovski going up against the challenger, the one coming for the belt, Yair Rodriguez. Happy 247th birthday to the United States of America. It is July the 4th. The fireworks are popping outside as we speak right now here in Chicago. Bootsy is absolutely freaking out at all the fireworks. So he's going to be barking a lot today. But I got to tell you, I don't know if I'm on a lot of these underdogs this week. You want to talk about some lines that are absolutely juiced. We've got them up and down this card. A couple of late notice replacements to some of the toughest fighters on this card. Niko gets a late notice replacement. Della Maddalena gets a late notice replacement. A short notice fight for Jesus Aguilar. Or I'm sorry, for Edgar Chairez going up against Tatsuro Taira here. We've got favorites that are minus 200 and just going up and up and up and up from there. So a lot of juiced lines, a lot of huge favorites, a lot of mismatches. You know, these fights are lined a lot like what the latest wars that the United States of America have fought would have been lined if you went to go bet on the USA versus Iraq, for instance. You know, you might be getting the same kind of line that you got Niko versus Valentine Woodburn. And it's the same thing for Della Maddalena versus his opponent. So we got to tread very lightly here. And even the lines where the right person is favored, it's getting so blown out. These favorites are just getting driven so far past what I would call a reasonable line to bet on some of these favorites. So we got to break down all the stats here, you guys. We've got to do the work. We've got to figure out ways to stack cashed tickets like flapjacks on this card. I'd like to welcome everybody here that's with me in the chat. I'm going to put the banner up here for the Patreon. That is the best way to support me. What the Patreon is where you're going to see all the stats that you see right here on Just the Tip, that you see on Stat Diggers on Pub Sports Radio, that you see when we're on Ask Weezy here on this channel. The best way for the analytical gambler to get all the necessary information so that you can make the best possible gambling decisions. We've got 3 tiers over there, $5, $10, and $20 a month. Some great content, some great numbers, some great stats, some great benchmarks, some great analytics. And when we use those properly, we have a much better chance to beat these bookies at their own game. So I appreciate all 34 of you that are already here, hanging out live. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any of the great content that's going on here on this channel. And please consider joining the Patreon, and please consider leaving me a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking this week betting-wise. Ask me any questions that you have, or just say, oi. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out here today. Let's see what's going on here in the chat with everybody. We got Rex Lee, the first in the room, saying, oi. And we got Jenna Marie in the room saying, oi, Weezy. What's up, Jenna Marie? We got Jester saying, let's get it, Weezy. Needed one more judge for Santos last week for 21K. Hail Mary parlay, so close and yet so far sometimes, Jester. But the fact that you were even that close to hitting a $21,000 Hail Mary parlay shows that you were on the right path. You made some really good decisions. And sometimes all you need is one more judge in order to change your life with some really big cash coming in your way. Let's figure out a way to get that 21K this week, my man. We got Dixon in the room saying, Prophet Josiah. Oi! We got, is Valentine this week's Nurse Sultan? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, probably not. But the dude is built like a fire hydrant. He's got a big overhand right. He's got some power. He might be difficult to take down just because he's built like a refrigerator, but it's Niko. You know, He's been doing combat sports at a high level for a very long time, and the fact that Valentine hasn't fought in about a year and is taking this one on a less than a week's notice against an opponent, the quality of Bo Nickal is probably why the line's sitting around minus 3,500 this week instead of the hulky Ferrero line last week, which was around minus 200. So yeah, I don't think he's this week's Nurse Sultan. Antonio Esparza is in the room saying, "Oi, Unc, what's up, chat? What's up, Antonio? We got Amish Wood Milk in the room saying, first time watching live. I don't even bet. I just like the breakdowns. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you, man." We got T-Funk in the room saying, only true degenerates in here at 9 p.m. on the 4th of July. You love to see it. Hey, I'm raising a drink to all you guys. I got a Paloma here, a fresh one, ready to go. We got a lot of fights to break down here, so thank you for hanging out, T-Funk. All right, we've got Daz Files in the room saying, "Oi, oi, oi, what's up, Daz Files? Welcome." We got Sneerius saying, "Oi, what's up, Unc?" We got Lou Betya in the room saying, "Oi, yes, happy 4th, my brother. America, F yeah, let's go, man. America, F yeah, let's go. Happy 247th birthday." Victor de Jesus in the room saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Vic?" We got I am WHB in the room saying, "Let's get this money." Oi! We got Corey Mann in the room saying, "Oi!" And we got Sicky Does MMA saying, "Oi! What's up, Weezy? Bounce back week for me. Let's get it, man." Last week was my bounce back week. Had a good week. We'll talk about that here in just a second. We got Coco Flamingo in the room saying, "Yo, yo, yo, Weez dog. What's up, dude?" We got Jenna Marie saying, "Let's go, Weezy." We got Zen Monkey in the room with the flapjacks. We got Presidente Pedro in the room saying, "Oi, Weezy, you're the man. Happy 4th of July and good luck, everybody, on their bets." Good luck to you too, Presidente. Let's get it. We got Finesse the Books in the room saying, "Hit the like button, fam." We got Justin J saying, "Yo, Uncle Weezy, oi, and howdy to chat." We got Justin Viega saying, "Happy 4th of July, Uncle Weezy. Same to you, brother." We got Adam saying, "What's your biggest ever MMA bet win, Weezy?" Tracked bet win. Oh man, that's a very good question. I would have to look on the sheets, but if you go to Bet MMA Tips / Uncle Weezy, you can see my entire tracked betting history there. And you can find out what the biggest win is. I've had some big DFS wins before. But in terms of like a big like plus money parlay or something like that, I've definitely hit a few greasy 4-leggers, but I mean, that's a really good question. I really don't have any clue what it is at this point. We got Justin Viega saying, "And happy 4th to everyone. And if you don't celebrate, hope you still have fun wherever you're doing." We got Finesse the Book saying, "Reaper Max Whale Lock 102 units Gorilla Tape Submarine Play of the Year." There we go. We got Jenna saying, "What's up to Justin?" We got Justin saying, "Do you add blueberry on a toothpick and Cheriesto to your Paloma to make a red, white, and blue one?" That would be pretty cool. But no, I do not. But I could do that. I've got some blueberries in the fridge. And I've actually got some cherries in the fridge too. So I get to get like a cherry and a blueberry on there. And then my Paloma's kind of whitish. It's grapefruit soda. So yeah, that could actually work. All right. And we've got Justin saying, cherries. Yes, I do have cherries too. Yeah. Kristen saying, "Oi, pleasure to catch you live, Uncle Weezy." Thank you for hanging out, Kristen. We got Jenna. What's up with she's clinking the drinks and right there to you, Jenna. We have got Ethan Sullivan in the room saying from Australia, "Got onto the Patreon last night, 1 p.m. here." Thank you, Ethan. I saw that, man. Welcome to the Patreon. Welcome to the Discord. Can't wait to break down these fights with you in there and stack cash tickets like flapjacks together. We got Stimmy OG in the room saying, "Yo, yo, yo, what it do, Weezy? Your rate limit has been exceeded." Yeah, that's happening to a lot of people on Twitter. Luckily, I am not on Twitter that much. EQ in the room saying, "Oi." We got Blake Martinez in the room saying, "Oi." We got Jacob saying, "Oi." And we've got Justin Viega saying, "Duplessis, I'm drunk driving this hype train. Move." There we go. All right, you guys. Bet MMA Tips profile. Last week, up 3.31 units. The only money line bet I had was Grant Dawson. That was a 1-unit bet at plus 110 that we cashed. He made that look incredibly easy. Grant Dawson is not going to be nearly as cheap next time. I could tell you that. Had a 2.5 unit bet on the Ivanov scorecards equals no action that wound up being a wash because the fight went to decision. Not a great bet in retrospect. It was plus 200 though. Ivanov never had Romanov in any trouble, and Romanov was never even close to gassing out. The win here for under 3.5 rounds in Strickland versus Magomedov was easy. A clinical one at plus 120. Fakhretdinov by decision was not even close because Fakhretdinov finished him 55 seconds into the fight. Did not see that kind of an ass shaving coming. So I lost a unit there. And then a very chalky parlay for 2 units, the under 1.5 rounds in the Brito fight and in the Ruzaboyev fight. That won me a little over 2 units. So up 3.31 units, snapped a 2-unit losing streak, got pretty much the last 2 ones back as we lost 3.34 units and we got 3.31 back here. So bounced back from the 2-week losing streak, got it all back. Now we got to start stacking winning events like flapjacks, not just the tickets, so that we can get more and more to the plus side this year. And we got to figure out ways to do it because right now there's not much going on here. These lines are absolutely juiced to the tits this week, but we're going to break down all 14 of these fights. 51 of you all hanging out live in here with me. Let's get to work, everybody. So we've got, and let me just say what's up to my guy, MMA Hedge Funds in the room saying, what up, Weezy? It's good to see you hanging out in here. And we got Justin and Jenna going back and forth. Absolutely going to have a good time tonight. Sit down, strap it down, grab a beverage, enjoy the birthday of this beautiful country here, the United States of America. And even if you're not from here, enjoy your evening or your day, wherever it is that you're from. Let's break down all 14 fights on the UFC 290 card. I'm going to share my screen with you where we have the stats that are available on Uncle Weezy's Patreon here. $10 a month for the advanced stats that not only have all the stats that you could possibly imagine, but also how they relate to the average for each division. So in this case, all of these stats are weighed against the lightweight divisional averages as we have a lightweight fight between Kamuela Kirk and Esteban El Gringo Ribovics. So let's first start talking about Kamuela Kirk here. He's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage, as we can see here. 75-inch reach for Kirk, 69-inch reach for Ribovics. And these guys are both 5'10". Kirk is a switch stance fighter. Kamuela Kirk is going to have the overall and the UFC experience advantages in this spot. He's got 5 more pro fights. He's got over 45 more minutes in the pro cage and almost 2 more years as a professional fighter. He also has a slight UFC experience advantage with 1 more fight and 10 more minutes in the octagon. Kamuela's got good, crisp technical kickboxing. His punches come straight down the pipe. He does a decent job defending as well. And he's a BJJ black belt, and he absolutely does his best work on the ground when he's the one on top. Kirk's UFC grappling metrics look terrible, but that was at 145 pounds against Makwan and Damon Jackson, where he attempted 0 takedowns and saw 12 attempted against him. I think Kirk will be the much more dangerous grappler in this matchup against El Gringo. And Kirk has faced, beaten, and lost to the better brand of competition as a professional. Now, El Gringo Ribovics, he's going to be 2 years younger than Kamuela Kirk in this spot. He's got a 100% finish rate in his 11 pro wins, 5 submissions, and 6 knockouts. He's got a ton of power on the feet, and some of his knockouts are nasty to watch. Dude stays sleeping for a while after he touches them, so I see Esteban having the advantage on the feet at range, even though he's at a reach disadvantage due to the perceived power differential that it looks like he's going to have on the feet here. To put it plainly, it looks like when things aren't going Kamuela Kirk's way in a fight, he tends to quit. I don't see any of that in Ribovics. He has that dog in him, and he won't stop trying to get you out of there until the final bell rings. I like his durability and his perseverance much more than I like Kamuela Kirk's. So this is going to be Kamuela Kirk's debut at lightweight. He has not fought in a year and 4 months, so it's quite the mystery as to what we can expect from this new version of him. He's still only 29 years old, and he trains at Siege MMA, so we know he's getting excellent coaching and training. However, what we've seen from him thus far in the UFC is underwhelming. He doesn't show power on the feet. He's a dangerous grappler who doesn't shoot a lot of takedowns, and now he's at a new weight class on almost a year and a half layoff. I favor Ribovics on the feet because of his power and his durability, and I think if Kirk takes down El Gringo and gets to a dominant position, he'll have a chance to finish this fight. I favor Kirk's length, his experience, his Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and his strength of schedule, but I trust Ribovics' power and his ability to find his way back into fights that he might be losing much more than I trust Kamuela Kirk's. I don't feel confident laying juice on Ribovics, and if I feel like we're missing information on Kirk due to the layoff and the new weight class. So I'm fine staying away from this fight at the betting window, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Esteban Ribovics to win this fight by decision. Both of these guys are finishers. 100% finish rate for Ribovics. A 92% finish rate for Kamuela Kirk. And Kirk has been finished in 2 of his 5 losses, and Ribovics has never been finished. So, both of these guys are fairly durable. It's just that Kirk, was destroyed by Damon Jackson and Billy Quarantillo. Outside of those fights, he's never been finished. So I kind of feel like this fight might go over. I feel like Kirk is live for a sub. I feel like a Ribovics might be live for a knockout here, but I don't think that either one of these guys is going to get the finish. So I'm going to pick Esteban Ribovics to win this fight by decision. So we're going to go down to the very bottom of the card here, and we're going to see what Kirk's got for us here at 155. It could be that the reason that he faded in the Quarantillo fight and then the Jackson fight is because of the rough weight cut, because he's too big for 145. And maybe now at the new weight class, with all the great cardio and weight cutting work that they do at Siege MMA, we might see a new version of Kamuela that's a lot more equipped to go the full 15 minutes here. But and like I said, he's more experienced. He's going to be the better grappler here. He's got a better strength of schedule. He's longer. There's a lot of reasons to like Kamuela Kirk in this fight, but I also think that there's just a lot of questions because what we've seen from him thus far in the UFC is just okay. So I feel like if we're betting him here to beat Ribovics at this very thin line that we have, where I didn't even put it up there. Yeah, Kirk's, -1. Oh, wait. That line is way off. What do I have it at? Kirk Ribovics is -136 plus 116. Sorry about that, everybody. Plus 116. Man, there we go. And now we could show that. So Kirk is the underdog, plus 116. Ribovics -136. Fight doesn't go to decision, though. And -215. I think the fight goes at plus 185 or plus 190 is a decent look here. Not something I'm running to the window to do, but to count on either one of these guys to get a finish when they're both pretty durable, I think might be -215 might be entirely too juiced for a lightweight fight when they only finish around 50% of the time. That line is saying that it finishes around 67, 68% of the time. So, yeah, that's a little bit too much for me. I think the fight goes might be a good contrarian play for this one, or the over 2.5, but I'm going to pick Esteban Ribovics, El Gringo, to win this one by decision. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We got the Golden Octagon in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, Weezy in chat?" I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if Mexico is going to have a good weekend. I pull my toenails off, then lay -400 on Yazmin when she gets cracked. Yazmin's good, though, dude. Yazmin's really good. And Denise Gomes, is somebody that could take a technical fighter like Yazmin and give her problems with the pressure and the volume and just in the walking forward. But I still like Yazmin quite a bit here, but the line is ridiculous. I absolutely agree with you. And we got 100 milligrams of indica to the face, and we are ready to go, says my guy LPX. Let's go. You know, he's rushing into war there like the United States. 100 milligrams of indica. He's probably going to be sleeping by the time the Taira fight breakdown is over, but I still commend you, my man, for taking that large of a dose. You are a better man than I. Let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be Shannon Ross at plus 117 going up against the Jesus Aguilar, minus 137. Fight doesn't go to decision. Juice to the tits for a flyweight fight, ladies and gentlemen, at minus 190. So let's get these stats up on the screen. Ross Aguilar. And let's first start talking about Shannon Ross's advantages. He's going to be the bigger dude here, as Jesus is a very small flyweight. Shannon's going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. He's also a Swiss chance fighter against the orthodox fighter here in Jesus Aguilar. And Shannon's got the overall experience advantage. He's got 9 more pro fights. He's got 80 more minutes in the pro cage and over 5 more years as a pro fighter. And for Jesus Aguilar, he's almost 7 years younger than Shannon. Shannon's 34 years old, and he is a flyweight. So that is a very old flyweight with a journeyman's record here at 12-7. Now, Jesus, a little bit better of a record here at 8-2, and he's still only 27 years old. So we could see some improvements from the young man in Aguilar here. And he's the better wrestler and submission grappler in this matchup. He has the ability to win minutes with his wrestling and top control, and he looks to finish fights with his guillotine choke, which is his signature submission. But this fight is about as low level as it gets for the UFC, everybody. You got to tread lightly on this fight. I have no idea what either of these guys is really doing here. And for a pay-per-view card, this fight makes no sense. I feel as if Aguilar has more ways to win this fight, as his minute-winning ability in the grappling exchanges is superior to Ross. I think this fight goes to decision, and I think that Aguilar is the one who gets his hand raised. Shannon Ross is not particularly good at anything. He got absolutely waxed by it was less than 1 minute in which Clayton Rodriguez knocked him out. Shannon really had nothing for him, and Clayton showed him no respect and got him out of there in 59 seconds. So, and then Aguilar is not somebody who has a ton of power on the feet. He's very short. He's got the 62-inch reach, which means he's got, I think, like a 3-inch reach advantage over Molly McCann, who has the shortest reach, I believe. Well, maybe Vanessa Demopoulos might be 58 inches, or Corey McKenna might be 59. But Jesus Aguilar has got a ridiculously short reach. But what he can do is he can wrestle, and because he's got short arms, if he gets you in that guillotine with the arm in, he can lock that up pretty tight. He's got a good squeeze with those short arms, and he can finish those guillotine chokes. 6 of his 8 wins are by submission, and he's won both of the decisions that he's been in, while Shannon Ross is 5-3 in decisions. And, you know, the level of competition for Shannon Ross is not great. And it's not great for Aguilar either, but he has fought a little bit better competition on the regional scene, I would say, than what Shannon Ross did, especially the wins that Ross got. I don't think were as high level as the wins that Aguilar did get. But I do like Jesus to get this one done, and I'm picking him to win this one by decision. And I'm kind of wondering what that line is at here. We're going to log out. And then let me just see what the Jesus Aguilar decision prop is. And there we go. Oops. Aguilar by decision is plus 225. I don't think there's enough meat on that bone to go chasing after that. By submission is plus 200. there will probably be much fatter props on the more reputable sites for props like DraftKings and FanDuel. But yeah, I'm not going to be touching this fight if I can help it. I think it's extremely low level. Aguilar at minus 200 was ridiculous, but at minus 137, I certainly think that he belongs in the UFC much more than Shannon Ross. I just don't see what Shannon Ross is doing here. He's just not very good. But either way, let's move on to the next fight. It's it's not that much better of a fight. It is Cameron Saaiman going up against Terrence Mitchell. So Saaiman right now is minus 550. Mitchell is plus 400, and the fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 400 here. We got EQ in the room with the glasses clinking. We got my guy Chris Calanza saying Happy Independence Day, Uncle Weezy. Happy 4th of July to my guy Chris. I know that he is a veteran, so he loves this country as much as anybody. So happy birthday, America. Good to see you in here, Chris Calanzas. MMA's biggest fan saying, I thought Ross looked good on the Contender Series. I mean, he looked good getting his face boxed up for basically the entire fight, and he showed a lot of perseverance and a lot of toughness. And I think that that's a good thing. You know, I think that's why we can get a little bit of value on Aguilar by decision here if he doesn't lock up a guillotine, because I think he can maybe get some takedowns here. But yeah, I didn't think that Ross looked good on the Contender Series. I think he got absolutely his shit pushed in by a complete fraud in Vinicius Salvador, whose last 3 wins were over 0-0 guys before he got that Contender Series shot. So we'll see how it goes, man. This is a low-level fight, and I'm not like going out there and telling people you got to lay juice on Jesus Aguilar because Ross is that bad, because you don't just bet against bad fighters. You have to bet on good fighters, and I don't know if there's a ton of reasons to bet on Aguilar. Victor saying, hey, Weezy, even though it's America's birthday and everybody is drunk, I'm still not able to chat much because I'm at work grinding. No days off for me. I'm here listening, though. That is the American work ethic, Victor de Jesus. I've had all my old math professors who were from China and who were from the Middle East and who were from Eastern Europe. They would always tell me, you Americans, you work way too hard. You don't know how to spend time with your family or enjoy life. So that's the work ethic of the American people, man. They just work entirely too hard. And Victor, you're definitely one of them. And that's why this country is great. People like Vic out there grinding on the 4th of July while Uncle Weezy's sitting here breaking down fights and drinking Palomas. So I appreciate you, brother. We got Antonio saying, thank you for your service, Chris. Hell yeah, man. Chris is a great guy. Bob Spikerman saying, let's go. We got Amish Woodmilk saying, if I recall, Mitchell has a 72-inch reach from that. I appreciate that, dude, because I would have had to go and look and see there, and I don't know what his stance is either, but Terrence Mitchell is definitely going to have the reach advantage in this spot. And Green Bat saying, deep into the vibe of house music. Good luck this week with all the picks. Weezy, best fighter and method of finish this card. Best fighter and method of finish. I don't know. I'm going to give you all the picks, but I definitely know who the ass shaving of the week is, Green Bat. So we will give that to you at the end of the show. But right now, we're going to continue talking about Saaiman versus Mitchell here. So Cameron Saaiman is 11 years younger than Terrence Mitchell, and Terrence is coming up a weight class here on short notice for this fight. Even though Cam has 7 less fights in almost 11 less years as a professional in comparison to Terrence Mitchell, he still has over 30 more minutes in the pro cage, as Mitchell has a 3.7 minute average fight time compared to 10.8 for Saaiman. Cam's the better striker. His boxing is excellent. He's high volume, he's accurate, and he's defensively responsible. He's got a positive 3.01 distance striking differential, a 5.4 to the positive distance strike attempt differential, and almost 45% distance striking accuracy, which is above average for the weight class by a mile, as we can see just a bunch of green here in all of Cam Saaiman's striking numbers, whether it's significant or whether it's distance. And even at range, where his opponents are throwing a little more than average, he's having very average in terms of defense, slightly above average defense here at 60%. So he's looking really good and landing 4.06 clinch and ground strikes per minute while only absorbing 0.33. So very active on the ground. Great get-up game when he gets taken down. And he is very efficient in those grappling exchanges. He's only attempted 1 takedown, as we can see here, but his opponents have attempted 9. He's gotten 1 and allowed 5, but he outcontrols his opponents 36% to 16%, winning almost 70% of the control time positions that he's been in. And he's fought the better brand of competition overall. Terrence fights in Alaska fighting championships where the competition is as low level as it gets. So Cam is definitely more well-tested. Now, Terrence Mitchell is really long and tall for a flyweight. He'll be 2 inches taller. And if my guy is right about Mitchell having a 72-inch reach, he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage in this spot. And he's a good wrestler and submission grappler. It translates for him in Alaska's fighting championships, but how it will work in the UFC is anybody's guess because the level of competition is just so much higher than it is in Alaska. I mean, Cam Saaiman should absolutely murder this kid. Every time Mitchell has stepped up in competition, he's been finished. Maybe Mitchell looks good, but it's a stretch, seeing as he's beating meth heads and dock workers in Alaska FC. It's going to really be a shocker if Mitchell found any success in this fight. But I mean, I guess anything is possible. But I think Cameron Saiman's going to shave this kid's ass. And, you know, Mitchell's old. He's taking this fight on short notice. His last, fights are against Skylar Schlosser, Justin Cook, Travis Zank, Randall Patterson, and Jacob Ruvovishnikov. What the? I mean, when you look at the tape on Terrence Mitchell's fights, it's one camera that's on the ceiling, and it's just pointing straight down. It's the only camera angle that AFC has. They don't have any live commentators. So, he goes out there, he gets a takedown, he gets to a dominant position to mount, and then he either rains down ground and pound or he gets a rear naked choke. But the level of competition is so low. And I mean, he almost died in the Zach Eastlick fight. If you want to see one of the most vicious knockouts of all time, look at Zach Eastlick shaving the ass of Terrence Mitchell. Terrence Mitchell got his ass shaved in less than 30 seconds by Kai Kara France in the Tough House a long time ago. Yeah, there's no evidence out there to suggest that Terrence Mitchell has UFC level anything other than size and length for the flyweight division, but this is a bantamweight fight. So, yeah, we just kind of don't want to overthink this one. I think Cam Saiman's going to absolutely shave this kid's ass, and I think he's going to wait until the second round to do it. But we'll see what Terrence Mitchell has for us. He's experienced. He's huge. And he's got a good grappling game. So we'll see how Saaiman can stop the takedowns, and we'll see what Terrence Mitchell's got for us here. But I think what he's got for us is a loss, and I think he's going to run into a dick saw here, and Cameron Saiman's going to wax his ass. Let's move on to this next fight. See what you guys are saying in the chat here. Yeah, we got Golden Octagon saying at Greenbat, you might be able to parlay both of those for minus 600. Yeah, we got some juiced lines, man. We got JDMKO1 says MMA hedge funds. We got EQ saying, yeah, he agrees with that. We got Fireside saying, oi, Weezy, happy to catch you live. Hit me with oranges. I couldn't resist Yana Santos and fading Romanov with an Ivanov who was seeing ghosts at weigh-ins in this past weekend. Yeah, I did not fade Romanov. Well, I faded Romanov with the finish only prop, but wound up just getting that money back. But yeah, Romanov was a lot closer to finishing the fight than Ivanov ever was. But way to go with the Yana Santos. Yeah, she probably won that fight. It wasn't a bad bet at plus money, but Rosa got gifted the decision. I don't know, man. I'm not sure what to think there. But it is what it is. Let's get it back this week, Fireside. Jay Call in the room saying Saaiman has a layup here, but I think he'll get fraud checked soon. I think he's pretty good. but it's the bantamweight division, man. And you want to talk about high-level competition around every corner in that weight class, you're going to find it. So, yeah, there's not going to be much easier fights than Cameron Saaiman's going to get than this one. Bob saying, I really like this guy, Chairez. He's a beast. How the hell is he plus 725, man? Call me crazy, but I got to put like a half-unit shot on Chairez here. I mean, I think Chairez is pretty good, Bob, but for one round, he never has anything after the first round. He completely slows down. Dude, look at the Aguilar fight. Those guys went 5 rounds. After round 1, Chairez literally did nothing the rest of the fight. I think he finished by throwing like some leg kicks at the end of the 3rd round. But rounds 2, 3, and 4, he did nothing. He went for a desperation takedown late in the 5th. Jesus locked up a guillotine on him, and he tapped immediately. The guy just doesn't seem to be able to push a pace for 15 minutes. And if you can't do that against Taira, you're going to lose those last 2 rounds. So I think you're going to be throwing that money away at plus 725. I think Chairez is solid, but this guy Taira, man, he's something else. And ring a ding ding, you guys. My guy Gogo Flamingo in the room saying, gotta head out. Bo Nickel, round 1 sub. Sprinkle win inside first 60 seconds. Captain Africa is so bad. Whitaker might accidentally finish him, knockout round 2 or 3. Moreno inside the distance. Price equals free money. Hooker is live. Happy 4th. Appreciate you, Gogo Flamingo. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Keeping the lights on here in the studio. And yeah, man, I mean, this is a wild card. A lot of wide lines. We definitely have to tread lightly this week, but appreciate you coming by, man, and dropping in with the donation. Saaiman is a notorious fouler. Yeah, man, he actually fouled Mana Martinez, I think, 3 times in their last fight. So that was a bad look. And Saaiman point deduction is a lot, says Bob Spikermans. It's probably not a bad idea, but I don't know if he has time to get a point deduction here because I think Mitchell's going to fold as soon as Saaiman hits him hard. But let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be Vitor Petrino at minus 300 going up against Marcin Prachnio plus 250. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 400 for this fight. So let's get the stats up here, and let's first start talking. It's over here about Vitor Petrino. So Vitor is 9 years younger than Marcin Prachnio here. 35 years old. Prachnio will be right about on fight day, while it's 25 for Vitor. And Vitor's got a ton of power. 75% of his pro wins are by knockout, and he showed off on that power on Dana White's Contender Series and in his UFC debut. And we saw Vitor get 7 takedowns in the Turcali fight, which was something we hadn't seen from him before that fight. So at only 25 years of age, he looks to still be adding new tools to the toolbox. Now for Prachnio, he's got the overall and the UFC experience advantages. He's got 14 more professional fights, 85 more minutes in the pro cage, and almost 6 more years as a pro fighter. Marcin also has 6 more UFC fights and 45 more minutes in the UFC octagon. And Prachnio has excellent distance striking metrics in the UFC. He's got a positive 2.85 distance striking differential with almost 53% accuracy and 58% defense. And he's got solid takedown defense and a good get-up game. He has 0 UFC takedowns, and he's allowed 6 UFC takedowns. But he only gets controlled 12.4% of his UFC cage time, and he wins 26% of the control time positions that he's been in. And Marcin has fought, beaten, and lost to the better brand of competition in comparison to Prachnio, or in comparison to Petrino. So is this fight, I mean, I kind of feel like this is power versus finesse here, because Petrino can knock somebody's head into the 3rd row, but Prachnio lands 6.03 distance strikes per minute spent at distance and only absorbs 3.18. He's got solid 58.5% defense, really good 53% accuracy. He throws above average volume. His opponents throw less than average volume, but I think some of that has to do with the fact that he last fought William Knight, who actually sat there for 15 minutes and did less than nothing the entire time. But I kind of feel like it's the minute winning on the feet of Prachnio against the moment winning on the feet against Petrino. That's not to say that Petrino can't win minutes on the feet either, because he lands with such power that he can kind of get drowned in volume, but land 3 big strikes over 5 minutes and win a round that way. So, I think Petrino is going to have a lot of decision equity here as well as Prachnio, but I think the finishing equity almost entirely goes to Petrino. And the betting line is reflecting that right now, with him being a minus 300% favorite, which is minus 300 favorite on the betting line, which is 75% implied. So Petrino is a big favorite here, but with Marcin, you got the more experienced guy. You got the taller guy. You got the guy who's fought the better brand of competition. You've got the guy who's got the better distance striking metrics and the better distance striking defense, the better distance striking accuracy. So I kind of feel like Petrino is going to have to land a big shot here. And if he doesn't, this could be Marcin Prachnio by decision. These violence props for this fight are kind of a little bit out of hand. Minus 400 for fight doesn't go to decision. When Petrino went to decision last time, you can get plus 300 for fight goes. That's a 25% implied probability, but 40.5% of light heavyweight fights that are scheduled for 3 rounds do see the scorecards. And 50% of these guys' 8 UFC fights have seen the scorecard. So there's a big plus money there. It would be a massive sweat with a guy that has the power of Vitor Petrino making that bet. But at the other side, Prachnio has not been finished since his first 3 UFC fights. And outside of that, he's been going to decision every time other than when he got a finish. So I really do believe that this will be Petrino, because I think he's got some decision equity as well because of landing the bigger shots. And I really do think that he's got all the power in this fight. But Marcin has only landed 1 knockdown in 7 UFC fights and 305 distance strikes landed. So, I don't see Marcin getting Vitor out of there. I think either guy has the ability to win minutes at range, and I think this fight mostly stays standing. So I'm going to go with the youth and the power and the undefeated record of Vitor Petrino here to get the first round knockout, but I'm not going to be laying the juice. And I actually think Prachnio has the chance to win minutes at range here and potentially win a decision if Vitor doesn't find the finish here. Marcin by decision at plus 600 could be a great hedge for the Petrino bettors this week, but I'll still call Petrino by first round KO as my pick. I just won't be betting it or the under, which is juice to the tits at minus 135 for the under 1.5. So, we'll go here. And we're going to call Petrino by first round KO, but not bet it, because I think Prachnio might be live, and I think he might do a decent job of managing distance here, moving his feet, using that big cage to kind of evade the attacks of Petrino and try to outpoint him from a distance. But I think the most common and the most likely scenario here is Petrino finds that chin and puts his kids' lights out. So very interesting fight, but we're going to go with Vitor Petrino, the younger man, the undefeated fighter here. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Petrino is minus 300 on BetMGM. Okay. Fireside saying parlay JDM, Jauregui, Whitaker minus 145 the other night. Yeah, it should hit. It's JDM wins, Jauregui probably wins, and Whitaker probably wins. J. Call line seems wide. I think Prachnio was live. I do too, man. I'm picking Petrino, but am I betting him? No, he's got to land that big shot. MMA Prodigy saying, Weezy, tell us the Clay Guida story one more time for old time's sake. MMA Prodigy's talking about, I met Clay Guida when I was going back to school at Northern Illinois to get my statistics degree. What I was doing was I was going to Northern and studying Monday through Friday. And then as soon as classes were over on Friday, I would drive from DeKalb back to Chicago, and I would deliver pizzas at Lou Malnati's from 6 until midnight, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then wake up on Monday morning and drive back up to Northern Illinois. So one day I I deliver a pizza to this dude, and he asked me at the door, he says, do you watch MMA? And I said, yeah. And he goes, do you know who Clay Guida is? And I said, the carpenter? Yeah, I know who Clay Guida is. He goes, well, I manage him. And he's here. Do you want to come up and meet him? So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to meet Clay Guida. And, I'm in Chicago. Clay Guida is a Chicagoland area guy. So go up the stairs of this apartment, and there's like eight or nine dudes in there, and I bring them their pizzas, and the manager guy goes, hey, the delivery driver's a UFC fan. He wants to meet you. And so Clay, like, dude, you could see he was sitting on the couch talking to his buddies, and like even when he's sitting down, it looks like he's in the cage because like the hair is still moving, and he's talking, and like he's so engaging, he's so live, he's so bouncy, he's got that natural energy to him. And like he like jumps up off the couch, runs over, shakes my hand. I couldn't believe how small his hands are, because I'm like 6'2", 240. Clay's a much smaller man than me, but he was super cool. Took a picture with me, asked me about myself, it was a really cool experience meeting him. The guys that he was with were cool. I said, you can't be eating Lou Malnati's all the time, brother. You're not going to be making weight. He goes, don't worry about me, man. I got the energy to burn this off. And he was like moving around. It was great, dude. So yeah, thank you for MMA Prodigy for bringing that up. Yeah, that man is the coolest. Clay Guida, UFC legend, Strikeforce legend. Credit to the sports of MMA and freestyle wrestling. Sigma Trillionaire Gus saying Petrino KO at -200 is, it is ridiculous. There's no meat on that bone. What's up, brother? New video just came out at Sigma Trillionaire Gus. Think Moreno's getting dominated. Gonna have to check it out. I can't wait to see that fight. 5045 Pantoja says MMA Prodigy. True story. Met Clay Guida at a bar for a dodgeball tournament. He was all over the place. I believe it, man. Shannon Ross, Crute, Hooker, Whitaker, Volk taking a chance on that Aussie parlay. Yo, my name Deshaun. What's up, dude? Good luck to you on that parlay. Let's get to this next fight, which is going to be Tatsuro Taira. His money line is juiced to the tits, ladies and gentlemen. -1100 going up against Edgar Chairez. +725. Fight doesn't go to decision here at -400. So let's get these stats up on the screen. This should be a pretty easy one to talk about. So Taira was supposed to fight Clayton Rodriguez. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Clayton had to drop out. So now Edgar Chairez takes this fight on short notice. And Taira has to put off the weight cut again and now try to make weight on Saturday against Edgar Chairez here. Now, Chairez is a guy who's got about one round of fighting in him. He really slows down after the first round. So Taira's grappling pace is going to be a lot for him. Chairez is long. He's 5'7", 72-inch reach. So he's got the same height as Taira, and Taira is huge for the division. These guys are actually pretty commensurate in experience, as Chairez has one more fight in about 25, 30 more minutes in the pro cage, couple more years as a pro. Edgar's tall and long. His striking is solid. It's straight down the pipe. Punches, kicks, throws in combination. But the problem is that Chairez is grappling. He will hunt for submissions. He'll put himself on his back. And a guy like Taira has some of the most functional grappling that you're going to see in the flyweight weight class. He reminds me a lot of Grant Dawson. It's not just about getting the takedown. It's when we're getting to your back, whatever way that we have to do it. If we have to pull guard and then go for a leg lock and then get to your back from when we're trying to sweep you from the leg lock. If we're setting up a sweep with triangles or arm bars, omoplatas, half guard sweeps, or if you try to take your back standing, or if you just get the takedown, pass the half guard, pass the side control, start threatening with the choke and take the back, whatever it takes. This guy, Tatsuro Taira, is a master of taking your back. 59.63% control time for, 15.5% control time allowed, which means that less than 25% of his fights take place in distance striking range. So even if you have the striking advantage, chances are this kid's 2.62 takedowns per 15 minutes and 7.33 attempts per 15 minutes and 60% control time for is going to be enough for him to do what he needs to do to win the minutes and cruise to a decision win by getting your back in all 3 rounds, or by actually landing a big shot on the feet. He has a knockdown in the UFC, this Taira. And he's got that length and he's got good striking, and he's very, very young, still only 23 years old. And Chairez is still only 27 years old. And like I said, he's well tested, 10-4. He's got some good wins on his resume. He lost to Clayton Carpenter by unanimous decision, had a great first round, almost got Clayton out of there, had him in some serious trouble. But man, after the first round, he had nothing for Clay, absolutely nothing. The Jesus Aguilar fight, Chairez has a great first round. After the first round, nothing really there. The output just completely wanes. And 4 losses on his record going up against the undefeated Taira. Look, the line is 1,100, minus 1,100 for a reason. Is Edgar Chairez, does he have a chance to win this fight? Of course he does. Is he a good mixed martial artist? Yeah, of course he is. He's tough. He's well-rounded. He's got good striking. He's got good fundamentals. He's got good size for the division. He's still only 27 years old, and he's an aggressive submission grappler. But Taira is going to get to his back in every single round, and he'll either win a decision here or will probably get a submission. So I got to go with Taira. I'm going to pick him to win by second-round submission here. I don't want to overthink this one. I'll be a lot more open to picking Chairez as a dog maybe in his next spot. But for this one, man, I'm going with the young man from Japan, Tatsuro Taira. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ring a ding ding. My guy Low T City Ortega saying, my guy Weezy, this card got to be a record for number of random replacements. Dude, you got that right. Chairez, random replacement. We got Josiah Harrell, the muscle hamster, random replacement. Valentine Woodburn, replacement. And then even guys like, what's Terrence Mitchell doing here? Random replacement. I don't even know what the Ross Aguilar fight is. That's a wild one. That's the worst fight on the card by a mile. But yeah, it is what it is, Low TC the Ortega, but appreciate the $7 donation. Now we're really stacking donations like flapjacks here. Thank all of you guys for the support. 73 of you hanging out live in here. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe. Leave me a comment and consider joining the Patreon so that you can get access to these amazing prop templates with all of the metrics for each weight class. So look at the 205-pound division here for Petrino Prachnio or for Crute Menifield. You're going to see that we've got these benchmarks here. Fight doesn't go to decision 59.51% of the time. Fight goes under 2.5 rounds 57.67% of the time. Fight goes under 1.5 rounds 45% of the time. We take these betting lines, we convert them into implied probabilities. We compare them against the benchmark for the division. We compare them against the combined performance of the two fighters in the UFC, outside the UFC. All the analytics and statistics that you can need in one place. All the divisional averages here so that you can compare Tatsuro Taira's 2.62 takedowns to the rest of the division and know that it's 0.71 above average and that he's also landing 2.62 of 7.33, knowing that he attempts more, he gets more, and that he's absolutely destroying in submissions, attempting 3.67 per 15 minutes, 3.01 more than the average. So you can not only see what the statistics are, but how they relate to the divisional averages for each fighter. So really exciting stuff in here. I appreciate everybody that supports me on that Patreon. It allows me to continue doing this, putting out this free content for you guys on YouTube. H. Hui in the room saying, I think Edgar is a live dog. I mean, the line is a bit out. Yeah, it is. No, there's no doubt about it, man. 92% implied for Tatsuro Taira. Perhaps a little bit wide. Yeah, I mean, at that price, I totally get taking the shot on Chairez. Levels fight on the ground. Taira sub round 2. I'm right there with you. Duong in the room saying, "Oi, what's up? We got Alex Ramirez, the general, taking notes in here. We got MMA Hedge Fund saying if Chairez has a great first round and the live is anywhere near under minus 200, Taira smash it. That's a great look. MMA Hedge Funds couldn't agree more there. And we got Lucas Olzawi in the room saying, "Oh, yes." Okay, let's get on to this next fight, which is going to be Jimmy the Brute Crute. This man right here at minus 122 going up against Alonzo Menifield at plus 102. The fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 325 for this fight, which is wild because this is a rematch. These guys just fought in Australia back in February, and that fight went to decision. And now if you want to bet fight doesn't go to decision, they're telling you that the implied probability is around 77, 78%. So very interesting stuff there. But Jimmy Crute with that trademark striking defense, as we can see there in that picture, going up against the hard-hitting Alonzo Menifield. It's going to be a really fun fight. The first one was an instant classic, in my opinion. Back and forth fight. Great one. Can't wait to see these guys go at it again. They're very well matched. It's going to be the youth and the grappling of Jimmy Crute going up against the athleticism and the pure brute force power of Alonzo Menifield. And if you look at how this fight went the first time around, let's bring up UFC stats here. And we got this one up here too. Now we can see that Alonzo Menifield landed 56 significant strikes to 31 for Crute, and Menifield landed 2 knockdowns. But Crute was 6 of 12 on his takedowns, getting about 8 minutes of control time, and he attempted 3 submissions. And if we look here per round, you know, Menifield outdoes him at distance here, landing 13-9. He outdoes him at distance here, landing 21-7. And then it was very even here in the third round. And we see that Crute got 4 takedowns in the first and 2.5 minutes of control time, 1 takedown in the second, 1.5 minutes of control time, and 1 takedown in the third, and almost 4 minutes of control time. So what we saw from Crute was the ability to land some big shots on the feet. But when it was on the feet, we saw Menifield land 13 and 21 significant strikes at distance in round 1 and round 2, getting a knockdown in each of those rounds. And then we also saw Alonzo Menifield having a point taken by Mark Goddard for a fence grab, which was maybe the first foul of the fight, and it was a very quick point deduction. So I think that we have to look at this fight through the lens that Menifield, dropped him twice and had a questionable point deduction in this fight. So, but also I think what's very important to note for this one is that Jimmy's wrestling looked fantastic. And I think that that's what he's going to have to do at 205 if he's going to be the guy that goes out there and starts winning and starts putting together a winning streak and climbing this ladder. It's not going to be with him on the feet trying to out kickbox dudes. Jimmy Crute is an excellent grappler, and he's got good wrestling. And when he gets the fight to the ground, he's attempting 2.52 submissions per 15 minutes. So he's very active trying to finish fights when he gets them to the ground. So this is going to be the grappling and the wrestling of Jimmy Crute up against that sheer brute force power of Alonzo Menifield. And this line is close for a reason. But I think that there's a couple reasons to like Menifield here. While this is on the feet, he's going to be more dangerous. He's very difficult to take down. Now, Crute did a fantastic job of it the first time. But I think that first round was a back and forth, crazy round, high-paced round, and it tired Alonzo out. Crute fought in Australia last time, so it was Alonzo making the big trip across the pond. Now we got Alonzo at home in the United States, and it's going to be Crute making the long trip here. I think that that's very valid because it's going to be Crute having to wrestle here. He's going to have success on the ground. And when you get 6 takedowns in 3 rounds, it means that your opponent's getting back up when they take you down. So I'm leaning the power of Menifield here, but I like the youth of Crute. I like the height of Crute. I like the wrestling of Crute. I think Crute's a lot more likely to find a submission. And if he does have success grappling early in the fight, I think it's going to be harder and harder for Menifield to find that big shot as his arms fill up with blood, as his heart starts having to pump blood to all that crazy amount of muscle on his frame. This is a very fascinating matchup. I think it's one of the only bettable lines on the entire slate of fights because it's one of the only closely lined fights. But I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute to win this one by decision. I think that he's going to be able to survive the big shots of Menifield, and I think he's going to out-grapple Menifield and win the minutes of this fight. But like I say, it's a very risky call because I think this one being in the United States instead of in Australia matters. I think the fact that Crute's making the long trip here matters. And I think that the fact that Crute got a draw here, and the only reason he didn't lose this fight the first time was because Mark Goddard was very quick to take a point from Alonzo Menifield for a fence grab. So this fight could absolutely go either way, but I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute to win this one by decision, everybody. Jimmy the Brute Crute with that fantastic striking defense, but I think if Alonzo Menifield wins it, Menifield by KO is probably his best path because I don't think he's going to win the minutes here. And Menifield by KO plus 170 on Bet Online, which probably means it's plus 225 or 250 on the more reputable prop sites like DraftKings and FanDuel and Bet Rivers and places like that. But yeah, Jimmy the Brute Crute, I think he's going to win. But every time I've bet on this guy, he's cost me money and he makes bad decisions. So I always feel like it's very, very risky to pick Jimmy Crute. But he's still only 27 years old. He showed a massive improvement to the wrestling and to the fight IQ last time out by going to that wrestling early and often against Menifield. And he showed the perseverance and the pace to be able to push that for the full 15 minutes in an extremely high-paced fight where he was wrestling a giant, strong man. So I think Crute's making the necessary improvements. I think he's on the upswing right now while Menifield's on the downswing. And I think that Crute's grappling will make the difference here and get him to win this fight. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Shake AU saying this fight is super tough to call anywhere. I agree. Alonzo decision, no bet. I like that. I do like that. I mean, I think that obviously Crute is live for his submission, but I really do think that Alonzo decision, no bet, because he's got so much more power on the feet, in my opinion. Minus 130. I do like that. I think he's a lot more likely to finish this, but we could see Crute get a submission. But Menifield's takedown defense, get up game, and submission defense are all pretty damn good. Yeah, Alonzo decision, no bet. Shake AU, I think is a great call this week. Crute could get it. Yeah, I agree with you, HOE. I agree with you there. And definitely could, says Shake. Yeah, so we're all on the same page. He could get a submission, but we all know who's got the real power on the feet, and that's Alonzo. And then in addition to that, everybody, the most important thing, the striking defense of Jimmy Crute here. 47% at defense, while it's 62% for Menifield. So those 4 knockdowns for Menifield are serious power, and I really do think that he could find the shot here. But let's move on to this next fight, everybody. It is going to be Yazmin Jauregui at minus 410 going up against Denise Gomes plus 310. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 105. Let me get a sip of this beverage. Okay, so let me get the stats up on the screen. Yazmin is actually the older fighter here, but only by 8 months. Both of these ladies very young, improving, getting better. Yazmin 1 inch height advantage, 1 inch reach advantage. One more fight, but it's actually Denise who has more time in the cage with 93 minutes compared to about a little less than 70 for Yazmin. Both of these ladies have 2 UFC fights. Both of them have a little over 20 minutes in the UFC cage. 71% finish rate for Gomes, all by knockout. 70% finish rate for Jauregui as a pro, all by knockout. Neither one of these ladies loses much. Gomes has been finished by knockout once in her career. At distance, we see a contrast in styles, in my opinion. Jauregui, extremely technical, very fast, nice mixture of volume, speed, and power. great footwork. She's always moving laterally, always moving in a spiral, never letting her opponent kind of just walk her down and back her up. And she's always countering. She's always getting respect from her opponents. Denise Gomes blocks punches with her face, but she walks forward and she throws a lot of volume. You look at Gomes here in the UFC in her 2 fights. She's attempting 14.5 distance strike attempts per minute, and her opponents are only attempting 7.65. So she's just walking forward like a zombie. She will eat 1 or 2 to give 1, and her pressure really bothers people. In the grappling here, I mean, Gomes might shoot for takedowns. I don't think she's taken down Yazmin. Yazmin is very good everywhere, very defensively sound with her takedown defense. Good get-up game when she does get taken down. You see on the regional scene that Yazmin will mix in takedown attempts of her own. Gomes definitely showed the ability to get some control time as well as yield it in the Loma Lubumbi fight. But Loma looks a little bit lost on the ground. I don't know if Yazmin is that much better than her on the ground, but I know that Yazmin, her ability to just keep fights standing and stay where she wants to be is probably going to be better here. And it's because of her footwork. It's because this is a bigger cage. She's going to have a little more room to move around. It's going to be hard for the shorter, less lengthy Denise Gomes to just walk in a straight line and try to corner Yazmin here, because Yazmin's got good footwork. She's got good counter striking, and she's fast and throws a lot of volume in her own right. She actually throws more volume than Denise Gomes and is much more defensively responsible. Look at that. Sub 40% distance striking defense for Denise Gomes is piss poor. I think Yazmin and Denise have both fought a similar level of competition on the regional scene here. And Denise has fought a little bit better competition for sure on overall 1.67 win-loss ratio of her 2 opponents to 0.25 for Yazmin Jauregui. So better strength of schedule at the UFC level for Denise Gomes, in my opinion. But I think Yazmin is a lot better of a fighter than Denise is. I think Denise has great skills in terms of just being a tough girl who can walk through the fire, who can come through adversity and find her way into fights that she isn't winning right away. But I also think that Jauregui is not the kind of fighter where if things don't start going her way that she's going to give up or not get that respect back. I really do think that Jauregui is very tough and that she's going to be very hard to make feel less confident here. I think she's very confident. She's very calm in there, and she does everything right on the feet. I think Jauregui's going to really mess this girl up bad. I think she probably even gets Denise Gomes out of there. Denise Gomes does not have nearly a good enough striking defense here to last long with Jauregui. And I think that Jauregui's footwork and speed is just going to be too much for Gomes to find any success trying to walk her down. I think Gomes is going to try to walk her down, but by doing that, she's going to be predictable with her movement, and she's going to be walking into a lot of shots from Jauregui. And I think they're going to pile up, and I think eventually Yazmin Jauregui gets a second round knockout here. So I am going with Yazmin Jauregui to finish this fight in the second round. We've just seen Denise Gomes drop too many times on the regional scene. She's tough. She's getting better. She's good in the clinch. She's good on the ground. She's good on the feet. But I think Yazmin's way more technical and has a lot more upside in terms of her just tools in the toolbox here. Is not just pressure and toughness. It's technical. It's footwork. It's angles. It's speed. It's volume. It's a variety of attacks to all levels of the body. So, yeah, definitely like Yazmin Jauregui here to get the job done. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Alex is saying, press that like button. I appreciate you, the general. We got High Spectrum Islam in the room saying, love you, Weezy from Australia. Thanks for hanging out, High Spectrum. We got Bananas and Grapes in the room saying, oi. And we got MMA Hedge Fund saying, sprinkle both fighters by split here. I don't think this is going to be close. But I mean, maybe Yazmin has trouble with the pressure of Denise. I just don't see it. And H. Rui saying this is also an odd line. Both are live for a KO, but Gomes is definitely worth a sprinkle. She's a live dog. And H, Denise is the kind of fighter who's going to fight for your money. She can come back from adversity. She is durable. She can take a beating and continue to find her way into a fight after it doesn't go her way right away. But I think in order to do that, her opponent has to have that moment where it's like, why won't she go away? And I don't think that's going to happen with Yazmin. I think Yazmin is just going to keep being fine, being like, if you want to keep walking onto these punches, I'll let you keep walking onto them, but I'm going to keep throwing them and I'm not going to slow down. So yeah, I'm going with Yazmin here, but I can see why some people are going with Denise Gomes here. It's a big plus money number. It's a women's fight, and Denise, her pressure and her pace and her power are problems for a lot of fighters. Chairez last fight, he beat some dude in round 4. You guys got to watch that finish. Literally the worst referee ever. That was shocking shit to watch. Dude, if it was in UWC, there is a female referee there that's the worst that I've ever fucking seen. I forget what her name is. She's got a cross on her forearm, and she has no idea when to stop fights. So if it was a UWC fight, that's a possibility that it was her. But I think that his last fight might have been in Fury. And we got AJ in the room saying, "Lil Weezy, what's up, AJ?" And we got Sicky says, "LOL, I watched that fight, crazy stoppage." Yeah, I didn't see that one, man. I didn't catch that 4-round fight, but I'll have to look at that one here. All right, the next fight, everybody, that we're going to talk about is going to be Della Maddalena at minus 900 going up against the muscle hamster Josiah Harrell plus 600. Fight doesn't go to decision. Juice to the tits here at minus 800. The muscle hamster is a wrestler, a decent one at that. His most recent fight, he got a win over, well, not the most recent one, but the Tracy Reeder fight. I saw that one in CFFC. He won that one by knockout in round number 2. Tracy kind of messed him up in the first round. Tracy got on top, out-wrestled him, worked him over. When the muscle hamster was trying to stand back up, though, he had a knee down, and Reeder kneed him in the face. Illegal knee. Took a while for the muscle hamster to kind of recover from that. But as soon as things didn't go Reeder's way, he got his back taken in the second round. He kind of just gave up. But the muscle hamster was having problems prior to that. And this is Della Maddalena. I mean, he's already went out there and beat Ramazan Ameev, Danny Roberts, and Randy Brown. 3 veterans, 3 well-rounded guys, 3 huge welterweights, and now he's fighting a lightweight coming up a weight class. And by the way, in that Tracy Reeder fight, the muscle hamster missed weight by almost 5 pounds. So this is one that we just don't want to overthink. And by overthink, I mean a couple of things. Is Jack going to shave this kid's ass? Yeah, he's going to shave this kid's ass. I don't think Josiah really has the wrestling in order to find his way to a dominant position here against Jack. So, but also we don't want to overthink it in that this is a minus 900 money line. There's no money to be made here. They're already telling you 89% of this fight, is going to be with Maddalena win condition, 89%. And then because they're telling you fight doesn't go to decision is minus 800, they're saying that also, not only does Maddalena win this fight 89% of the time, but 89% of the time, this thing is going to go to decision as well. So that now, Maddalena inside the distance is going to be something like minus 300. There's no money to be made here. Don't try Maddalena by KO. Don't try Maddalena by sub. Don't try to get cheeky here. Just move on to the next fight. This is a complete mismatch. Moving up a weight class against a monster like Maddalena, who is going to be fighting fucking Sean Brady. So, I mean, like, if you're like, oh, Josiah Harrell can wrestle. Dude, this guy was preparing for Sean Brady. What the fuck is the muscle hamster going to bring that Sean Brady couldn't have brought? So, yeah, man, this is Della Maddalena by first round knockout. Here is the pick. And, we're just going to move on to the next fight because we got a lot of work to do here, everybody. And look at that nose on Maddalena. You got to believe maybe somebody catches him with a left hook right. His nose might be perfect if he got caught just at the right spot because it's messed up right here. It looks like a ski slope, but the right left hook could actually straighten that thing right back out again. I truly believe that. All right. Yeah. So Maddalena, KO round 1. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. Ruthless Robbie Lawler plus 220 going up against Niko the hybrid. Price minus 260. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Minus 175 for this fight. All right. And there's the stats. Niko Price, almost 8 years younger than Robbie Lawler. That is going to be significant here. He's 1 inch taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. It's a southpaw versus orthodox matchup. Robbie Lawler, 23 more professional fights, almost 11 more years as a pro, about 320 more minutes in the pro cage. A couple more UFC level fights, about 120 more minutes in the UFC cage. This fight is going to be a really fun fight. Lawler's fight against Brian Barberena was awesome. Niko Price's fight against Philip Rowe was awesome. Robbie Lawler's last fight against Nick Diaz was awesome. These guys are gonna meet in the middle and they're gonna swing and bang. But I kind of like Robbie Lawler's pressure. He showed a lot of pressure in the Barberena fight. Barberena definitely had some problems dealing with it early. And Niko Price in the Rowe fight was just throwing an absolute ton of volume. And yeah, he got knocked out in the 3rd round there, but he emptied the tank trying to get the finish himself in the 3rd round. It was a close fight. The fact that Niko Price almost went 3 rounds with Philip Rowe is a little more impressive than what Lawler did against Barberena because Lawler had a good first round against Barberena here. But I can't lay minus 260 on Niko Price at this point. And Robbie Lawler still shows that he's in fights. He's still pressuring. He's still throwing a lot of volume. He still throws that right with a lot of power, and that overhand left is still serious business for Robbie Lawler. And we've seen Niko Price, not show the same durability that he has in the past. He just completely gassed out there in the 3rd round against Rowe, and it was something to watch. Niko hadn't fought in about 1 year and 4 months prior to that Philip Rowe fight. He had both knees reconstructed, and he had sleeves on both knees. So, I don't know if Niko Price is back to 100%. I mean, he's still only 33 years old. There's definitely some time left for him. There's still definitely an ability for this guy to fight at a high level for a couple more years. He's well tested. He's fought a lot of good guys. He throws a lot of volume. He's got some good power in his hands. But this fight's going to be a car crash. I figure that this fight will finish inside the distance because these guys aren't going to stand in front of each other and point fight. They're going to be looking to go out there and finish it. Neither one of these guys really goes to decision much. In the UFC, Lawler 9 of 17 times, but for Price, it's only twice in 15 fights that he's went to decision. And both of Lawler's last 2 fights did finish inside the distance. And the fights that didn't before that against Magny and Covington are 2 guys that really don't finish that much. So, yeah, man, I think this one finishes inside the distance. Fight doesn't go to decision for this one. Is sitting around minus 190. The under 2.5 at minus 155, I think, is a pretty good look. But minus 190 for the fight doesn't go to decision could be a parlay piece this week. I think this is going to be a violent fight. I think somebody winds up sleeping. I'm going to pick Niko Price to win this fight, but I think Robbie Lawler is actually pretty live, and I would not lay the juice here on Robbie Lawler. But I'm going to pick Niko Price to win this one by 2nd round knockout. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Sicky saying he choked the dude out cold and was in there unconscious, and he put him on an arm bar while unconscious. Holy shit. Yeah, dude, some of these refs, I just don't get what the hell they're doing in there. The Mexicano MMA Master saying, let's hope Jack does not disappoint like Garam did last card. These odds are just too risky. Yeah, look, the difference between Elvis Brenner and the Muscle Hamster, it's two completely different things. Brenner, it has a hellacious style to deal with. We saw the Muscle Hamster go out there and absolutely get bullied by this kid 2 fights ago in CFFC. So, yeah, man, I just think that Jack's going to have a much easier time. And that Guram at minus 600 was absurd last week. AJ saying, damn, who put together this Google sheet? Pretty sophisticated. Me, AJ, that's on my Patreon. This is what I do. I provide statistics and analytics to the UFC betting community so that they can have all the imaginable statistics. We color code these things to determine above or below average for each division. So you're getting different divisional totals in each spreadsheet based on what weight class these guys are fighting in. And then we've also got the prop template with all the analytics, the lines being converted to implied probabilities and compared against the benchmarks and the fighter performance. So, yeah, I put together all this stuff so that you guys can give me a little bit of money each month, and then you can benefit from the stats that I accumulate and curate so that we all together can stack cash tickets like flapjacks and beat these bookies with a bag of oranges until we juice those oranges and then drink that delicious juice in front of them as they writhe in pain on the ground. H. Hui saying hamster guy fought like 2 weeks ago, but not bad of a ground game from a hamster. Yeah, when he does get on top, he's all right, but I've also seen him get a little bit sloppy and fall off the top, get back position, and then, be in too much of a rush to get the hooks in and wind up just getting put on his back. So High Spectrum Islam saying J Della baby Walters look out. Mexicano is saying even if Robbie loses, he's going out with a bang. No way it goes distance. Yeah, I agree with you absolutely there. All right, let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be Bo Nickel at minus 2,500 going up against Valentine Woodburn at plus 1,200. We don't have a fight goes to this or doesn't go to decision line here, but I'm capping it at minus 25,000, a 99.5% implied probability. I don't know what to. So like I looked into this guy, Valentine Woodburn. He's built like a refrigerator. He hasn't fought in over a year. He's got a massive overhand right. So he's a righty, and he just throws that overhand right with serious power. He's not very accurate. He's definitely not fast at all. And his wrestling's okay. But, he's built like a fire hydrant, built like a refrigerator, whatever you want to call it. He's low to the ground, low center of gravity. Guy looks like he could bench press a truck. And if he hits you with that overhand right and you walk into it, man, you're probably going to wake up looking at the lights. He's 7-0, 5 knockouts, 2 decisions, so undefeated as a pro. All of his fights take place in a promotion called Combat Night Pro, which is doing a lot of events in Florida and also, all Florida that I can see here. So I think it's a Florida promotion, and he trains out of Fusion Excel. But I also think he's been doing some work in Vegas recently, which is probably why he got this short notice call. But he's got wins over Brandon Boss Hog Johnson, who's like 41 years old and 3-4. Miles Black Santa Amos, 5-3, is probably the best fighter that he's beaten. Wesley Almeida is like another 40-year-old dude, 17-9. Sergio Melo is like 42 years old, and he's a 42-year-old Brazilian, which means he might actually be like 53. But so it's a lower level of competition here. The last 2 wins are by decision. And he's going up against Bo Nickel, a 3-time national champion, one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. But Bo, we still need to find out a little bit more about Bo as well. He's a guy who has 4 professional fights. Let me look here. Excuse me. Yeah, 5 minutes of a pro career Bo Nickel has. 4 fights, they've lasted 5 minutes. He's shaving ass, 3 submissions, 1 knockout. And Valentine Woodburn, 5 of those 7 wins are by knockout. So yeah, Bo's going to go out there and take this kid down. And even if he can't keep him down originally, I think he shouldn't have many problems getting this guy down over and over again. Woodburn does look a little bit sloppy with the grappling. He was going for takedowns on the regional scene against Boss Hogg and these other 42-year-old journeymen and like not getting them. So I just got a feeling that Niko is going to have no problem getting this to the ground, getting to a dominant position and finding the sub. We'll call it Bo Niko by first round submission. But, he's going to have to make sure that he doesn't run into this young man's right hand, though, because Valentine the Animal Woodburn has got fists like canned hams, and he hits hard. So, Bo's going to have to be very careful here. But, yeah, he should absolutely be the one getting the job done here. All right. Let's see. We got a new 2 times, 200 to win 1,800. Yeah, man. That's something else. So Thomas Kane wants the parlay, though. That would be and new. So it would be Yair and Pantoja. $200 to a 9-to-1 parlay. Not bad, man. 1950 says HY. Back 9 bets saying Uncle Weezy, thanks for bringing that nerdy energy. You got it, man. We us analytics guys, we've got to bring that kind of energy. And I know that I've got it because I've got all the analytics. So let's move on here to the next fight, which is going to be Jalen the Tarantula Turner at -260 going up against Dan Hooker at +220. Fight doesn't go to decision at -260 for this fight. Very interesting fight. This line is juiced to the tits. Jalen Turner, 5.5 years younger, 3 inches taller, and he's got a 2-inch reach advantage here. Southpaw versus the switch fighter. But it's Dan Hooker who's a lot more experienced. He's got 15 more pro fights, about 185 more minutes in the pro cage. He's got 11 more fights at the UFC level, 130 more minutes in the octagon. Dan Hooker finishing his fights at a 75% clip in the UFC. For Jalen Turner, it's a 100% clip. Jalen Turner has a 100% finish rate as a pro. All 13 wins inside the distance, 9 by knockout, 4 by submission. Both of these guys great finishers. And Jalen Turner's been finishing 3 of his 6 wins or 6 losses. And Dan Hooker's been finished in 6 of his 12 losses. So 18 combined losses for these guys, and 9 of them have been inside the distance. At range, both of these guys do really good work. But you can see that it's Jalen Turner with the better significant strike differential here, the better significant strike ratio. He's landing a little bit more per minute than Hooker does. Not quite as accurate, but look at the power numbers. 1.58% of the significant strikes that Jalen Turner lands results in a knockdown, while it's only 0.85 for Hooker. So Hooker's, I guess you would say that he's got 8 knockdowns in his UFC career, while for Jalen Turner, it's 5. But that's only in 9 fights, while it's 8 in 20 fights for Dan Hooker. The striking defense, not good for either one of these guys. 44% for Jalen Turner, 53% here for Dan Hooker. So that distance striking defense is the thing right now that basically is not giving Hooker a chance for me to win this fight, because Jalen Turner having that height advantage, that reach advantage, those straight punches coming right down the middle, those teep kicks, the length, so hard to close the distance against this guy. And the thing about Jalen is he will go first, but he really prefers the counter. And whenever you're throwing, he's throwing. So it makes it very difficult to close the distance against this guy, because whenever you're going first, there's something coming back at you, and you already had the chore of closing the distance. So it makes it very difficult to be first. And if you allow Jalen to be first, he's not going to necessarily just do it with his jab. He's going to do it with that teep kick up the middle. And he's going to be able to hit you when you can't hit him. So it becomes a very frustrating situation. And then when you try to take him down with those long limbs, you really risk getting submitted. And we've seen Dan Hooker be submitted 3 times in his career and once in the UFC. So the strength of schedule, Phil, for Dan Hooker, he's fighting the much more experienced brand of competition. The guys that he's beating have got a little bit better win-to-loss ratio than the guys that Jalen Turner are beating, but he's beating much more experienced guys. Because the wins over Brad Riddell, Jamie Malaki, Uros Medic, Brock Weaver, Josh Kulabau, they really don't stack up to what, Dan Hooker's doing in there when he's getting wins against guys like Nasrat Hakparast, Puelis, Paul Felder, Ally Quinter, James Vick, Gilbert Burns, Jim Miller, Diakese, Pearson. This guy at 155 has been very, very good. He's got a 4-7, 9-5 record at 155, and the losses are to Edson Barbosa, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Islam Makhachev. So very good record at 155. He's really only losing to the best guys. And he's even going 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier in a back and forth war with this guy. So, but the problem is that when he is loses in the first round to Arnold Allen, loses in the first round to Islam Makhachev, loses in the first round to Michael Chandler, gets knocked out by Edson Barbosa, gets subbed by, he gets decisioned by Jason Knight, but these are at 145, so I don't care about this. This was a long time ago, but with a guy like Jalen Turner, he's just got so much power, so much reach, so difficult to close the distance against, and then he's got such a submission game on him that if you get sloppy trying to take him down, you can easily wind up in a guillotine and it can be over. So I do have to go with Jalen Turner in this spot, but you guys, it's just this line is entirely too wide. If you got Turner around -130, -150, big up yourself. Congratulations, you did your job. But Jalen Turner at this line is ridiculous. It's just not, it doesn't make any sense. -260? You're telling me that this guy is over 70% implied against Dan the Hangman Hooker? Jalen Turner does have holes in his game. He gets taken down a lot. He doesn't have the best get-up game. If you can get past the submission attack of his and hold him down, it's a way to win minutes. And the more time that you hold him down, the less dangerous the striking becomes, because he doesn't have the energy that he does when he's just simply at range waiting to catch you coming in. So even though I'm picking Jalen Turner to win this fight, win it inside the distance by second round knockout, I think that Dan Hooker at the current money line is the way to actually attack this fight. This is entirely too wide. Jalen Turner is a stud, but he's got a ton of losses on his career. Dan Hooker's faced a much better brand of competition, trains with a bunch of studs. I think that he could make this very, very close, especially if he mixes in the grappling, and that he's not going to be completely out of his depth on the feet either here. But all that being said, Jalen Turner, you can't teach height, you can't teach length, and you can't teach having a perfect frame for the division. So this massive, massive lightweight, who's still only 28 years old, is going to keep climbing that ladder here and get the job done by second round knockout on Saturday. We got Ben Ryder in the room saying Vitor and Whitaker are in my parlay. All right, good luck to you there. Yeah, I think they both win. I'm picking both of them to win. And Mexicano MMA Master saying feel for Dan. Guy does not get any favorable matchups. Hope he wins this one, or it could be downward spiral for him like Marlon Moraes. Yeah, man, he took that 145 fight against Arnold Allen, which was just such a bad idea. On short notice, too, he wasn't the original opponent. So it's good to see him back at 155 where he should be, where he's done his best work. But, yeah, it's a very, very difficult matchup against Turner, but Turner's been exposed before, and Dan Hooker's been in there with the best. So, this could be a lot closer than what the line is suggesting that it will be. And crazy to think that if Turner got that decision, he'd be fighting a top 7 guy. Yeah, he would be. And I would have made a lot of money if he got that decision. But it's so frustrating because every time you have a wrestler and you make the right bet and the guy controls the opponent for 11 minutes, you get told, no, those 3.5 minutes that the guy landed 7 more significant strikes matters so much more than the 11.5 minutes your guy controlled. So you lose. So when I saw that one, I'm like, well, shit. Gamrot could control him for like 11 minutes here, but then all Jalen has to do is outland him by 1 or 2 shots in each round in order to get the decision, because all these guys care about is damage. And then Gamrot goes out there and crotch sniffs and gets his fucking shit pushed in. And then I got to hear, no, he won a split decision because he took him down and did nothing. And it's like, every time I have the guy who takes the guy down and does nothing, I get told I lost on damage. And then when Jalen Turner breaks Gamrot's face, with every shot that he lands, I get told the control matters. So it's so horrible. Mac back 9 bet saying, hit that like button, friends. A bit late to the stream, but who's the ass shaving of the week? We're going to find out shortly, my man. And we got Sicky Does MMA saying, I watched it and clearly thought he won on damage, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I thought he did too, but my back did not cash, so he did not win on damage, unfortunately. Either way, great fight against Gamrot. And now we got a guy who's not as good of a wrestler as Gamrot, so we're going to be spending a lot more time on the feet, and Jalen Turner's going to have a lot more time to find that big shot that changes the fight and finishes it. All right, next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be Robert the Reaper Whittaker going up against Dricus du Plessis. We've got Robert Whittaker, a minus 400 favorite, 80% implied, going up against Dricus, plus 300. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 160 here. Dricus du Plessis has only been to decision once in 21 fights, so I don't think minus 160 for fight doesn't go to decision is a bad look at all. But Robert Whittaker's fights don't finish inside the distance very much, but Robert Whittaker's very technical. Dricus du Plessis is the opposite of technical. There's nothing technical about what he does. He throws with power. He brings his feet with him, and he just kind of goes in blasts, and then he goes back out of range and rests, saves up the energy for the next blast. But his style is not technical, and if you're a technical striker like Robert Whittaker, who kind of needs to not be facing pressure, not be facing guys who just march forward, I think it might be a difficult matchup for Whittaker. I kind of look at this well, no, it's not really the same, but like, this one kind of reminds me a little bit of Yazmin Jauregui versus Denise Gomes, because with Dricus, I kind of am comparing him to Denise, where Denise is just going to kind of walk forward and just throw bombs and be like, yeah, my striking defense is shit, but I don't care. You're not going to knock me out. And if I land on you, you're going to be hurting. And then I'm just going to go after the finish until it either comes or I gas out. So if we look at the distance striking metrics here, it's pretty crazy. I mean, du Plessis is not fighting the same level of competition here, but yeah, he lands 6.8 and absorbs 4.58. He's landing 2.23 more significant strikes per minute at distance than he absorbs, while it's 1.28 more for Whittaker. Du Plessis 10% more accurate, but he's also 8% worse on defense. Whittaker throws a lot more volume than his opponents do, as does Dricus. Whittaker's fights take place at distance striking range about 84% of the time, while it's about 69% of the time for Dricus. Dricus does attempt takedowns. He tries to get fights to the grappling, but Robert Whittaker has been fantastic at guarding against takedowns, 84% takedown defense, less than 7% control time allowed, very efficient in the grappling exchanges as well. High percentage on his takedowns, very high percentage on his defense. And it's obviously Whittaker that's been fighting the much better brand of competition. He fought the better version of Darren Till, while Dricus got the washed up version. He's in there with Cannonier, Gastelum, Israel Adesanya, Marvin Vittori, while for Dricus, it's Marcus Perez, Officer Giles, Tavares, Till, and then Brunson. But he got Till near the end of his career. He got Brunson at the end of his career. So Robert Whittaker hasn't lost in the last 10 years to anybody not named Israel Adesanya. And what Whittaker is really the best at, you guys, is just outlanding his opponents at distance, outthrowing them. 11.29 distance strike attempts per minute. His opponents only throw 9. He outlands them 4.55 to 3.27. He's solidly accurate, very defensively responsible, and he's got a great head kick that he hides. He throws his jab first. That hides the head kick. The head kick comes from the same side as the jab, and that's where he gets those knockdowns, a ton of knockdowns in his career. And also, 5 UFC knockouts, 36% of his UFC wins. And the dude is 9-2 in UFC decisions. I believe the ones where he wasn't decision was against Adesanya. So yeah, he's 9-0 in the UFC in decisions against people not named Israel Adesanya. So very interesting fight here. But what Whitaker really does well is be a very technically sound kickboxer. So he's going to need every inch of this big cage because Dricus kind of just comes forward and blasts. And when he does, it's just his left foot goes forward and then he swings a big right hand. And then when that right hand is done, that right leg comes forward, then he throws the big left hand. And then when that when the left foot lands, then the right hand comes behind it. So it's really going to be about Whitaker's ability to be able to move his feet, stay out of range when Dricus throws those blasts, and then pick him apart from distance when Dricus is trying to rest. Whitaker is not going to get tired here, but this is not the kind of matchup that he's been used to seeing. Marvin Vettori doesn't just move forward like a bull. Gastelum doesn't move forward like a bull. Jared Cannonier is very technical. He barely pressures at all. Darren Till, same thing. Darren Till is very back foot oriented, very traditional martial arts with his striking style. So there's no way that I'm laying minus 400 on Whitaker. I'm picking him to win. I think he's the better minute winner in this fight. I think he'll land more significant strikes, but I just don't think he's going to get the fight that he wants. I think that Dricus is going to mix in the wrestling. I think he's going to make this a very grimy fight, and I think there's a very good chance that Dricus might actually land the bigger strikes on the feet. But it's still Robert the Reaper Whitaker, and he's just way better than this guy. So I got to pick Whitaker to win. I'm picking Whitaker to win by decision. But I don't hate anybody taking that money line shot on Dricus du Plessis at plus 300 here. Dricus is sloppy, but he fights to win, and he fights a style that I don't think is going to fit Whitaker's strengths well. So I think that this is going to be a lot grimier than what the line suggests, and I think that Dricus is going to find some big shots, and if he does that and he gets a takedown or two, he might even be able to pull off a decision on the cards here. So Whitaker, very durable. Dricus kind of counts on that finish. So I think that's why Whitaker decision is definitely the way to go here. But like I say, this line is juiced to the tits. I won't be touching it. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We got Terry Mizzo is in the room saying, "Hey, Uncle Weezy, I love the way you break down these fights. I appreciate that, man. I kind of break it down in the way that the spreadsheet tells me to. We start with the measurables. We look at experience. We look at finishing. We look at distance striking. We look at grappling, and we look at the strength of schedule. It's a great way to kind of leave no stone unturned. Find out who's got the advantages where. Look at the stylistic matchup. What does fighter A want to do to win? What does fighter B want to do to win? What are the defensive tools that each fighter has? How many tools are in the toolbox? Who's got more ways to win? Who's more predictable? There's all kinds of things to look at here. And styles always make fights. So everybody's going to break them down differently. I do the best I can, but I appreciate that you like the way that I'm breaking these down. Sicky saying I got under 2.5 here. Yes, Rob hasn't finished a lot of guys recently, but he's literally fighting the best guys with crazy chins. I see him head kicking him when DDP is gassed against the cage, second round. Got it, man. Yeah, I think that's this is a step down in competition for sure for Whitaker. Does the nose surgery play a big part in DDP's cardio? Maybe because he's been breathing through his mouth a lot. But I think that's a kind of a natural instinct when you're in a fight is just get as much air into your lungs every single chance that you get. And the best way to do that is to open up your mouth. But when you're risking that in a fight because you don't want your mouth open, good way to get your jaw broken. So, but I think it'll probably make some difference because he's always said that he has to breathe through his mouth because of his nose. So maybe the nose surgery will make him better. Whitaker by decision. Dricus' only way is catching Rob in the first round and going for broke. Adam saying, "Where am I from? I'm from Chicago." Whitaker hurts way more guys than are aggressive. Yeah. If that's the case, Sicky, then he's going to hurt Dricus because Dricus is very aggressive. Adam saying great breakdowns. Appreciate you, man. Dricus with the new nostrils. Yes, we're going to find out how those nostrils pass the air in. And DDP will be more exciting than Whitaker if DDP was to win and face Adesanya. That would be an interesting one because it's another one where they're not just going to try to stand there and outpoint fight, Adesanya. He's going to try to take his head off. He's going to try to, march forward, eat one to give one, and see if he can get inside on Israel like Pereira did in the 5th round and finish him. So very interesting potential matchup here, but that's getting ahead of ourselves because he's got Robert the Reaper Whitaker to worry about here first. All right, next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be the co-main event between Brandon Moreno and Alexander Pantoja. Moreno, the champion, the favorite at -188. Pantoja, 2-0 against Moreno in his career, plus 163 is the underdog. The fight doesn't go to decision here at -140. So it's going to be Brandon, who's almost 4 years younger here. And Brandon, who's got a 3-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. Both of these guys are very experienced. 29 pro fights for Moreno, 30 for Pantoja. A little more minutes in the pro cage for Moreno. He's also got 2 more UFC fights and almost 90 more minutes in the UFC cage in comparison to Pantoja. Both of these guys are good finishers. Moreno, 6 of his 9 UFC wins are finishes. For Pantoja, the same, 6 of 9. Pantoja, 4 subs, 2 knockouts, 3 subs, and 3 knockouts for Moreno. Neither one of these guys has ever been finished in their career. 59 combined professional fights. Neither one of them's ever been finished. 5, 6, and 2 in decisions for Moreno, 7 and 5 Pantoja. Both of these guys 500 in decisions at the UFC level. So both of these guys have positive, significant strike differentials, but it's Pantoja's who's better at +1 compared to 0.36 for Moreno. Pantoja's a little more accurate than Moreno is at distance, but it's Moreno who's a little more defensively responsible and who's absorbing less strikes, 4.04 per minute at distance compared to 4.47 for Pantoja. 63% of the Pantoja's fights take place at distance striking range, 68% for Moreno. Moreno's winning a higher percentage of the control time positions, about 69%, while it's 60% for Pantoja. Pantoja a lot less active on the takedowns than Moreno. He attempts 3.36. Moreno attempts 3.96. But it's Pantoja who gets more reverses and is attempting more submissions when fights get to the ground. Also, Pantoja's very efficient in his grappling exchanges. He's only attempted 27 takedowns in 12 fights, and he's gotten 11 of them. But Pantoja's opponents have attempted 65 takedowns against him. So even though Pantoja only has 11 takedowns and Pantoja's opponents have 21, Pantoja outcontrols his opponents 22% to 15%. So with Moreno, he actually attempts about as many as his opponents do. So the fact that he's winning 69% is still efficient, but he gets more takedowns. He attempts more, his numbers are efficient, but not as efficient as Alexander Pantoja's because he can control minutes without even having to necessarily go for the takedowns. Now, when this is at boxing range, I think Moreno is going to be the better technical boxer, right? He's gonna be using that 3-inch reach advantage that he has. He's been in there with the better strikers, in my opinion, guys like Figueiredo, Kai Kara France. He's been the champion, while Pantoja's been in there with guys like Perez and Royval, Askar Askarov, Matt Schnell. A little bit lower level of competition than what Moreno's been in there with recently. Also, Pantoja beat Moreno back when Moreno was like 23, 21 years old. Now it's Moreno who's 29 and Pantoja who's 33. But there's no place in this fight that Moreno is much better than Alexander Pantoja. On the feet, Pantoja lands more. He's more accurate. He throws more volume. And he's kind of got like this in and out style. He's kind of like Dricus in that he's usually either all the way out or he's all the way in. And he will blast forward and throw multiple strikes at the same time to kind of close the distance, create that kind of car crash scenario. And then when things get ugly in that car crash, he can try to get to your back. And that's what Pantoja does so well. is he gets to your back. And once he's there, he stays there, and he can get submissions or he can just ride out the round. Now, he doesn't attempt nearly enough takedowns for my liking, but I think he can find his way into dominant grappling positions without necessarily having to go for those takedowns. And with somebody that fights like Moreno, I think we're going to see scrambles get created in this fight. They're both really good scramblers. They're both very durable, and they both have got good power and good boxing for the division. Now, I think that this fight is going to decision. Brandon Moreno's never been finished. Alexander Pantoja's never been finished. Both of these guys are extremely durable. They're both very tough, and they're very well matched here. So it's not that I would be surprised to see a finish. You know, these guys are high level, and I could see Pantoja getting a submission. I could see Moreno potentially getting a knockout because in the later rounds, because we haven't seen Pantoja in around 4 or 5 in the UFC. So all that 5-round experience recently for Brandon Moreno is a big advantage. The youth for Brandon Moreno's a big advantage. In my opinion, the fact that he's already the champion. So if this fight is 50-50 going into the scorecards, usually you're going to see the champion get the nod. You got to beat the champ to be the champ. So, and then just Moreno's been fighting the higher level competition lately, and he's been going 5 rounds numerous times. So I think there's less missing information here on Brandon Moreno. And I love that he's younger. I love that he's the champion. I love the length. I love the height. And I love the boxing. And I like the submission defense as well. He's a great scrambler. It's going to be hard for Pantoja to get to his back, find dominant positions. The pick is Brandon Moreno by decision for this co-main event, and I'm calling and still. And I think he's going to make this 1 and 2 here, but I would not be surprised at all if Pantoja did get the nod here. I think the line should probably be Moreno minus 140, minus 150. I think that Moreno minus 200 is excessive. And at that line, I think the Pantoja side is the way that you play it. But what I did here was I got fight goes to decision here at plus 120. Seeing as these, Brandon Moreno's not getting knocked out by anybody. He might get subbed. And Pantoja's extremely durable and tough. And Moreno's not like this ridiculously awesome finisher. He's finished 6 of his 9 UFC wins, which is obviously very impressive, but Pantoja's never been finished. So I'm picking Brandon Moreno to win this one by decision, but I think the value at the current line is actually on the Pantoja side. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Dreekus with the new nostrils. Yeah, we got your man saying, I hopped in late, but what's up, Weezy? Hope you've been great, brother. Can't wait for the card this week. Yeah, me neither, man. This is such a great card. We got the MMA Master saying, should go for my man Brandon, but something tells me Pantoja got this, and we will see them fighting again for the title, though I'd rather see Amir Albazi get that fight. Tired of trilogies. Yeah, I hear you do with the trilogies. It's enough of that right now. We got H in the room saying this fight would end up like the Alex versus Adesanya storyline. Pantoja going to win, and then Moreno will win the rematch. That would be interesting. Another good split decision sprinkle here, says MMA Hedge Funds. And thoughts on Moreno and over 1.5 at minus 115. I like that a lot. That's a good way to get the price down, Sicky. And Moreno is not really an early finisher. And, Pantoja's never been finishing a 3-round fight. So, Moreno getting not only a finish win, but in the first 7.5 minutes, not very likely. And Bananas and Grapes going with the assassin baby here, Brandon Moreno. Well, that brings us, you guys, to the main event of the evening. Still 77 of you hanging out here almost 2 hours into the show. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for supporting the channel, watching the programming. Hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Please consider joining the Patreon and supporting my work so that I can continue doing work for free here on YouTube. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about this fantastic card and what your best bets are, or just yell oi at me. Either way, it helps with the algorithm and everything going on here on YouTube. And that brings us to the main event of the evening. Alexander the Great, Volkanovski, going up against Yair Rodriguez. This man right here, might be the greatest fighter to ever step in the octagon in any weight class. Alexander Volkanovski came this close to beating Islam Makhachev at 155, a very close fight in Australia back in February, a great one. And here we got him going up against the surging Yair Rodriguez here in the main event of the evening for the 145-pound championship. The line on this fight is wide. It's Alexander Volkanovski at -400, Yair Rodriguez plus 300. Fight doesn't go to decision right now at -125. So it's going to be Yair, who's younger. He's 4 years younger, 5 inches taller, but these guys have each got a 71-inch reach. It's Volk who's more experienced, about 8 more professional fights, about 140 more minutes in the pro cage, while it's Yair Rodriguez who's actually been fighting for 8 months longer as a pro. So it's Volkanovski who's been a lot busier as a professional, fighting 27 times in 11 years, while Yair Rodriguez only fought 19 times in almost 12 years. And both of these guys have 13 UFC fights, and it's Volk here who's got about 56 more minutes in the UFC octagon. Both of these guys fought on the same day back in February, so they're both on a 4-month layoff. All right. Yair finishing at a 50% clip in the UFC. Volk, 33% clip. Yair's been finished once in 2 UFC losses. Volkanovski has never been finished in the UFC. At distance striking range, both of these guys do amazing work. Volkanovski at distance is a master of getting in and out. It's the push and the pull. He stays just out of range, but when he throws strikes, he explodes in. He'll either just lead with the jab, or he'll start with the jab, put a combination behind it. As soon as he's done throwing the last punch or the kick on the combination, he moves right back out of range so that he's not there to be countered. Yair Rodriguez can go first, and his kicks are his best weapon. He's got great speed. He's got great power in his hands, but it's the kicks and the variety of those kicks from both legs and from both stances that give people a lot of problems. So the striking in this fight is going to be very interesting, because we saw Yair really look good in the distance striking exchanges against Max Holloway. What Max actually had to do was go to the grappling, because he was absorbing the much bigger shots at range, because Max is a boxer and Yair's a kickboxer. And Yair was using those kicks to manage range, and it was making it difficult for Max to close the distance on him. And every time he tried to, he was walking onto stuff. But Max was able to mix in the grappling against Yair to win the minutes and win that fight. Volk absolutely has the ability to be able to mix in the grappling. We haven't seen it much recently from him, because he's been so dominant on the feet, and because he's been so good at just out-voluming his opponents. I mean, 6.54 distance strikes landed per minute, 4.13 absorbed. He lands 2.41 more per minute at distance than he absorbs, 53.5% distance striking accuracy, 61.5% distance striking defense. He's only been knocked down once in 13 fights, and he has racked up 6 knockdowns of his own. So, and then Volk is out controlling. He's winning 78% of the control time positions that he's been in, and that is about 27% of his fights. While Yair loses a lot, he's only winning 24% of the control time positions that he's in. He wins 8.5, but he gives up 27.1% control time to his opponents. 64% takedown defense is not great, allowing 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. Yair has got to be better at not losing minutes on the ground. Now, he does have a good offensive submission attack from his back. We just saw him lock up a triangle against Josh Emmett, but that's his first win ever by submission in the UFC. He's not really much of a finisher by submission, definitely more of a knockout artist. But this is all about range. This is all about a boxer versus a kickboxer. Volkanovski is going to go to that low leg a lot against Yair, but Yair will be throwing back at him. You know, Yair really worked Holloway's low leg good in in that last fight that they had. So it's going to be an interesting type of opponent here for Volkanovski, but he just fought Makhachev up a weight class, a much taller, much longer guy. So he's seen that already, and he's very good at distance, very defensively responsible. It's going to be tough for Yair to crack that shell. And then you just look, I mean, the recent performances from Yair, while he's in good form, you know, beating Ortega because the shoulder popped out doesn't tell us much. Beating a very old Josh Emmett, who just didn't really look like he had much in that fight, doesn't tell us much. He lost to Max Holloway, a guy that Volkanovski's beaten 3 times. And, you know, and even though Yair was winning the minutes on the feet in that fight, he actually got out-wrestled by a guy that doesn't really wrestle in Max Holloway. And we've seen Alexander Volkanovski, even though it's been a long time since we've seen him do it, we know that he's got the ability to be able to win minutes with the wrestling if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet. And Yair Rodriguez is not Islam Makhachev. You know, so if Alexander doesn't like how it's going on the feet, if he's having trouble managing distance against Yair with those kicks that Yair throws, he can change the pace and the game plan of this fight, go to the grappling and win minutes that way. And yeah, Volk's like the best in the world. So, I mean, I just cannot pick against him right here. I think he's going to make this look fairly easy because I think if he finds that he's out of his depth on the feet, that he'll take it to the ground and win minutes there and then start to find some big shots in the up and down, in the scrambles, in the parts of this fight where his grappling is making Yair less comfortable and less defensively responsible on the feet. So I think Alexander's going to win this one. I think he's going to finish this one by knockout in the 3rd round and continue being, you know, maybe the greatest fighter on the planet Earth right now, pound for pound. Alexander, the great Volkanovski. I mean, are you betting against a mustache like that? Good luck. You betting against a beautiful head of hair like that? Good luck. You're probably just taking your money and flushing it down the toilet, though. So I'm picking Alexander the Great Volkanovski to do it once again here, get the job done. 3rd round knockout. I also have a bet on this fight. It is the fight doesn't go to decision at plus money. All right, you guys. We got Lucas Olzawi in the room saying the ass shaving. He knows it's time, dude. It's time for the ass shaving of the week. H. Hui is sprinkling a parlay on Chairez, Gomes, Dricus Duplessis, Pantoja, and Yair for a plus 132,936. Please invite me to your place for drinks if that hits. And we got Mexicano MMA Master saying only thing Volk missed was size. If Volk was 6 feet tall with the ability to stack weight like Rumble Johnson did, GOAT status, no doubt. Yeah, I hear you. But that mustache might have just gotten him the GOAT status here. I mean, if he looks as good in the cage as that mustache looks on his face right now, I mean, he might be considered GOAT status after this fight. So we'll have to see. But that leaves us with one more order of business, everybody. It's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Now, last week did not go well. We won 3.31 units tracked, but the greasy 4-leg parlay fell flat because Bruno Ferreira got his ass shaved by Nursultan Ruzaboyev, coming off that over 1-year layoff, training in Philly with the boys, clearly made some improvements and got a big win against a stud in Hulk Ferreira. So that one fell flat on its face. And this is a hard week for the ass shaving of the week because everybody is juiced to the tits this week. But I mean, I had to give you somebody that's juiced to the tits because I don't think Terrence Mitchell belongs here. So yeah, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week this week is going to be a guy that we picked to shave ass against Mana Martinez. He got that job done. And I'm picking him again to shave the ass of Terrence Mitchell because Terrence Mitchell is an Alaska FC fighter. Terrence Mitchell is a guy with less professional fights than he has years as a professional fighter. And he's never beaten anybody that wasn't a meth head or dock worker from Alaska with a 2-3 record. Nothing but bums that he's beaten. Now he's going to be going up against a kid from South Africa who's 3-0 in the UFC. Got a spectacular, and all of the guys that he's beaten, Josh Wang Kim, Mana Martinez, and the other kid, I don't remember who it is right now, Steve Kozlow, are all guys that beat Terrence Mitchell. So, yeah, I mean, this one's going to be an easy one. Cameron Simon's going to shave this kid's ass. He's going to get the job done, probably in the second round, but maybe in the very first. Knock this kid out, leave him sleeping, maybe violently, and then cash the ass shaving of the week for your Uncle Weezy. You guys, we did it. Still 69 of you in here hanging out. I appreciate the donations. I appreciate all the engagement. I appreciate you guys just tuning in to talk fights with your Uncle Weezy here on a Tuesday night on the birthday of the United States of America. 247 years young today. Statue of Liberty still has got that torch up there in Ellis Island where my dad came from Greece to come for a better life in this country. Love this country. Love all you guys for hanging out and watching here on Just a Tip with your Uncle Weezy Tuesday night. You guys, let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 290. Keep this winning streak going and go into next week's ass card with a couple of winning events in a row so that we can tread nice and lightly and just pick our spots. We got Terry saying, if I know Weezy, Crute is getting the shaving. Yeah, I mean, I think he might lose here, but it's definitely one of the closer line fights. The mullet on Volk, you got to love it, dude. Terry saying, I take that back. Show me footage of Terrence Mitchell wrestling polar bears. Might change the odds. Yeah, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Nick Alexander saying a statement TKO for Volk and calling out Islam as a lock. I think he's going to knock out Yair Rodriguez. I agree with you, Nick. I really do. And I bet the fight doesn't go to decision there. Sicky Does MMA says, great show, Weezy. Appreciate you, Sicky. We got Back Nine Bet saying, have a week, Uncle. I'm going to try to have another one, man. And we got H2E saying, thanks, Weezy, and let's stack it. Let's go, you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe on your way out. Join the Patreon. The address is right here. Great access to all the analytics and statistics that you see here on Just a Tip with your Uncle Weezy. And it's a great way to support the work so that I can continue coming here on YouTube and showing it to you guys for free. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 290. I'll catch you tomorrow here for Ask Weezy, 10 o'clock Central Time, and on Pub Sports Radio tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the DFS show. And we'll talk some prize picks tomorrow. I've got a prize picks play here that I've already given out to my Patreon members, and I will give it out tomorrow night on Ask Weezy. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to get out of here, finish up this Paloma, and get a good night's sleep and continue working this week. I'm putting out more great content for you guys so that we can beat these bookies with a bag of oranges until we juice them. Have a great night, everybody, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support.